Hello and welcome to my channel. Selamat datang di Indonesia. Welcome to Indonesia. So in the last video we talked about the roots and woods in the aquarium, and many of you asked me if I could do a special issue or a special doku, and I would say this is a doku, about the wood masters, the root masters of Java, the people of Indonesia that work in aquascapes. And I found out that I have a lot of material on my computer, videos that I never used. I never showed them. So I think it's time now to do that and present you some of the tricks and tips these guys showed me when I visited Jakarta. I think it was in 2017-16, I cannot remember. I've been so many times to Indonesia. It's one of my favorite places. Papua, Sulawesi, Java. So yeah, I went to this fair. I was invited to this fair, and there have been about 300 great aquascapers that had a competition going, and they set up aquariums, nano aquariums, big aquariums. And even I had to find out what year that was, and I saw that even I was on the title of this magazine. Nusatik is the show. And yeah, I would like to present you what these people do, and I think the scene there is amazing. There's so many good aquascapers there. I think just in this place, many more than in whole Europe or even the USA. And if I look at the video now, I was totally destroyed. I came from a show in Chicago. I went from there to Thailand to see the Chat market in Bangkok. From there I went to Shanghai, and from Shanghai I went to Nusatik show in Jakarta. So I was pretty destroyed after this world tour. But anyway, it was interesting. I didn't want to miss this show because Jakarta is always great for seeing breeders, shows, meeting interesting people, even go to nature. That is my favorite part. When I go to Sulawesi or Java or Papua, that's always great content, exciting stuff happening there. But I also met some of my friends there. Here you see Dave Chow from Hong Kong, in my view one of the biggest names when it comes to aquascaping. But also other big names from different countries have been present. Mr. Fukada here from Japan, he won several, I think, ADA competitions, and the people watched him closely. And there also was Felipe Oliveira from Portugal. Sadly, Felipe passed away, but we will remember him as a great aquascaper, and he was a great person too, a friend. And it's a sad story, but yeah, we will remember him very positive. And the secret star of this show was for sure Harry Racio. He's a great aquascaper, but he also is a designer. He designed a shirt for me, which I really appreciate. He did it great. But he designed, I think, all the shirts that you see here in this video. Even I am wearing one. And Harry has a page. Please follow him. You will see amazing stuff. It will blow your mind. And if it comes to smaller aquariums like 10 liters, 20 liters, 30 liters, even 50 liters, they usually work alone. But when it comes to the bigger projects like this one, that's for an aquarium that has like 100, 200 liters. I will speak in liters, more easy for me. You can find out that in gallons. They usually work in teams, because for such a work, you cannot finish that in a day or two. You need weeks probably to do something like that. And when I asked this guy about how long he was already working in this scape, and this was like around lunchtime, so he already worked like 4 or 5 hours. They start early, 4 to 5 hours just for this piece. So you can imagine how long it takes for the rest then. But this is for a nano aquarium. And when I asked this guy about his techniques, how he is doing it, because probably every aquascaper has his own techniques to bring the things together. The roots are glued, obviously. And he told me that he is using coffee powder. Coffee powder for the joints. That, of course, the glue is whitish, and then you see that if it dries up, it has like a white color, especially of this very quick glue that they use in Indonesia. So they are using coffee powder to hide the joints. So they put the two roots together, take coffee powder, put it in between the two roots that he wants to glue together, then drops the glue on it, and it hardens after just a few seconds. This glue is really very fast. He puts a couple of drops, you don't see it here, it's a bit blurry, on the coffee powder, and here you already see it's already nearly hard, and you can play with the root already. And of course, when you use this glue, the fingers are very full with glue, and this takes a while to remove it. So better you use some gloves, for these plastic gloves, and then you don't have the trouble in removing it for a couple of hours. I always have that problem. I don't use gloves because I'm too lazy. My friend Kede Satria helped me out with the translation. He's a news person from the TV, famous in Indonesia. And if you look at the wood that they're using, I think most of them come from above water, not from underwater. I think even some are dug out, because look at these. They look like roots from a tree. And especially the young aquascapers in Indonesia, they don't have the money to go to the shops and buy them. They just go to nature, because nature offers plenty. And when we look at the glue, there's two different kind of glues. There's one for the hardscape that is more liquid, and we have one for the plants. If you go to gonilio.com or gonilio.de, you will find these glues that are great for aquascaping. And when it comes to rocks, they go a similar way. They go to nature to pick them. And here Yopi explains me that they are using these very heavy but nicely structured black rocks, not only for aquascaping, but also for terrascaping, like terrariums and aquaterrariums and all that. I have not seen these rocks outside of Indonesia, not in Europe, not in the USA or elsewhere. And Yopi explained me, even if they are very heavy and they look very strong, they're easy to break. You can work them with a hammer and then have smaller pieces for your aquascaping or for your aquaterrarium or terrascape. But I have seen a lot of different types of rocks, mostly taken from nature, a lot of volcanic stuff, and everything that is usable, they will going to use it if it comes from nature. Especially, like I said before, the younger people, they just go out and collect. And the aquascapers come from all the different regions of Indonesia. And Indonesia has 17,000 islands, so you can imagine the amount of roots and woods that you can find there. It's just amazing. And this guy has his stuff packed in a box, and he was unboxing it here at the event, because a thing like that, a creation like that, you cannot build it up here in just 2 or 3 days. That's nearly impossible. So he did it at home, prepared everything, the rocks, the woods, he glued everything together. It took him for sure 1 or 2 weeks at least. And then he came with the car, very probably, with the truck, brought it here. He's probably from Java. So the next step then is to put these pieces together. And if you look at the amount of roots he has used here, it's just mind-blowing. He must have worked several weeks in this. And I was asking myself, is there still some space for the water if you put this in an aquarium? And then probably from the transporting it in the box, some of the parts broke, so they glued them together, and then the planting can start. Before the planting, they have to prepare the plants and the glue. And as I have seen it in the other aquascapers, he brought his team with him. And they work in a group, because also this planting, it will take a while to get done. And also the mosses are probably taken from the wild, what I have seen. But for me, they look more like they took them out of the wild. Of course, it's also possible that they grew them at home for a long time and prepared them to bring them here. But for me, they rather look like they took them from nature. I forgot to ask about that as a question that I should have asked them. And what I also heard is that they have their regional clubs. So that's why they come here and work as a group and try to work together and have the success together. And I think that they take it very serious. This is a great competition. And here you can see how they work with the glue. And you have to always remember, this glue hardens up very fast. So they have the prepared branches, especially for the mosses. They put the glue on it, and then they put the moss on it, like you will see in a second. Yeah, the glue hardens very quick. They put the moss on it, fix it, and then after like 5-8 seconds, the whole thing is hard and you cannot remove the moss anymore. I was so impressed by this guy that I decided to follow him over the whole process and film everything he does, because somehow I had a feeling in my stomach that it will be interesting, because I thought that the guy maybe even could win the whole thing, the whole competition. Indonesian Aquascaper created their own style. A lot of roots, mosses, Bucephalandra, and this is a very good example for it. And I was not so wrong. This guy won the overall competition and he was the master champion of this competition. Hello guys, I have here one of my favorite plants that I would like to show you. And this is the guy that scaped it. What is your name?
Sansa.
So this is Sansa. You're from Indonesia, right?
Yes, Indonesia.
Tell me about your technique and tell me what kind of wood did you use, because I see that it's very black and it's different from the others. So how you do it and what did you use?
From the beech wood, and then just like this, and then
How you call the wood? What is it called?
we call cemara in Indonesia, but I don't know what in English.
Tell me the Indonesian name.
Cemara pantai, like that.
Tamara Pandai.
Cemara pantai.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many hours did you work in this?
Making this 1 week.
1 week. I mean, just a hardscape is 1 week, right?
Yeah, hardscape 1 week, and then for the planting we need time for 4 hours.
4 hours for the planting.
For the planting.
And you heard it, it takes about 1 week to put this hardscape together, and then 4 hours for the plants. And of course, in the beginning, when you fill up the aquarium with water, it doesn't look so great. I mean, it's still a great piece of art, but of course, the water needs to clear up, the plants need to grow, and then it will be an absolute masterpiece. And sorry for the sound, it was not great back then. I was not interested in microphones. When Takayuki Fukada started to use this construction foam, I was okay, I have to put my camera on him and see what the hell he is doing here, because I have not seen anyone using that before. Maybe people do it, but I have not seen that in, when was that, 2017. And why he is doing this? As you can see, he built his scape very high. There's heavy rocks and he's protecting the whole thing, the rocks and the roots to slide forward. So he's some kind of fixing his hardscape to the glass, so he protects the glass in front of breaking. And here you can see you used a lot of heavy rocks and big rocks, and this is the way to put and fix everything together. And later on you can even put more soil on the foam, and then also your mosses or your plants, and in the end it looks great. And you would never think there is foam inside, because the plants, the soil and the roots partly they cover it, and in the end they just put a plastic foil, and the whole thing also can be transported easy without that everything slides. Very clever. The plastic on top prevents that the mosses and the plants dry out, and then you also can transport it without any water in it. And also I could follow this Aquascaper from Bogor, and I was especially interested in the roots that he built up here, because all the roots that you see here, they don't come from like that. He uses different roots to twist them up to build this kind of roots. And even if it looks very natural, then they are all built from single roots. He takes 2 or 3 separate roots, twists them together, and then he will put some glue to it, but not glue the whole thing like you would expect, but just put it in some points on this new construction thing, or constructed root, that I would call it like that. So just uses a little bit, and then later he fixes it to the whole hardscape, to the rest of the roots, and it looks very natural. Of course, there's a lot of beautiful stuff out there. In fact, I would call it aquascaping art, but this hardscape here fascinated me because it looked natural. I mean, I could find something like that in nature, in Amazonia, or even in Indonesia, Papua. And also the mosses, they probably also took them out of the wild. And there's 2 ways to put mosses on roots. You either can use your hand and stick them with the hand on the roots, of course with the drops of glue, or you can use a tweezer, and there you can go to the places that are more difficult to reach. This piece that I discover looks like it came out of hell, or let's say out of a cave. And it's also natural. It was, all the materials there that you can see are natural, but it's built up. And the way they build it up, they start with a stick. So you can see they use a stick, wooden stick, then they put glue on it, and they put some dirt on it, like normal earth that you can get from the garden. It looks a bit volcanic. That's probably the consistency. I didn't ask him, but it looks like it's volcanic earth. And then they pour it over the stick, put glue again, then again earth, and it will probably take a whole hour to build some of these amazing spikes, I would call them. If you have a better idea to call them, let me know in the comments, but I would call them spikes, and it takes a whole time to build this construction. I think it's a very creative idea to make an aquarium look different, because this was really different from all the others, and if you want to have attention, you make your stuff different. When it comes to the nano aquariums in this competition, everything looks a little bit more easy because it's not that much to work in, and usually they do it in the spot, usually. Of course, there are constructions that are very amazing and more difficult, but usually they do it here, and they work outside. They have these little boxes or plates that they put a scape on, or even styrofoam like here. And also the boxes they use because they have the size of the glass, and to not work in the glass, to scratch it or break it, they use these boxes. And later on, when everything is glued together, fix the plants, they just adapt it to the glass and put it in. That's amazing too. And if one wants to work, still work in it and improve it, they will take the hardscape out of the glass because it's so good glued together that it will not break, and you can continue adding roots, plants, or even modulate it a little bit different. While this skilled aquascaper worked about 5 hours in this hardscape, putting the roots together, the rocks, and even gluing the mosses, this guy worked for over a week in this hardscape. So while others use boxes, this guy, for example, uses just cut wood. I think it's a piece of wood. Also styrofoam can be used, or even carton, to just have the measurements of the aquarium so they can work on top of it. So when the hardscape is put in the aquarium, they have to fill it up with soil or with sand. And you can see here, they use this special tool. They cut a plastic bottle in two, and they use the lower part of the bottle to take the soil to bring it in the aquarium. And I can tell you that's a clever thing, because, and here also Tupperware can be used, because you cannot go in with the hands, and to pour the whole sack in will not be so precise like using a smaller cup, a cut water bottle. They are really masters of inventing tools. And in the nano aquariums, they usually don't plant into the soil. It's more than enough planting on the woods and the rocks. This guy was really happy with his scape because it was much more simple, but the spikes make it to something very special. LC Chan from Malaysia, also a great aquascaper, showed me how he is cutting the grasses before he puts them in the tank. It looks more like he went to a hairdresser with the grass, but he explained me that with this technique, the grass looks more natural. It's not all looks like cut like equally, but more natural. I have learned a lot visiting the shows in Indonesia, especially when it comes to improvising. These guys are very creative when it comes to improvising, finding methods to use everyday stuff in the aquascaping, like this bottle, plastic bottle that is filled up with sand, and through the cap goes this hose, and with this specially built thing you can very well place the sand in the place you want, because everyone that worked with sand, you know that if you take it in the hand, then it's difficult to put it just in the spot that you want. And you can see here the lady is doing just that, and she can dose it very nicely. So I showed you a little bit some of my impressions, some of my favorite aquascapers. And at the end of this video, I also would like to show you my favorite aquascapes. There have been so many, so I just picked the ones that I would say have really impressed me. What also impressed me is the creativity and also the enthusiasm of these young aquascapers that have really fun in creating, in working as a team. The rest of the show was not that interesting for me. I mean, this could, if you show this in Europe like that, the people would be outraged, but in Indonesia it's different. So I will show you my favorite nanoscapes and also some of the bigger aquariums. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks a lot for following. I hope you can take something out for your creative aquascaping. And recently I have been live, I think yesterday, day before yesterday, and some people asked me to do the special thing on the aquascapers of Indonesia, like a special docu. And so I want to greet my members of the Aquatic Adventurers Club. I'm very happy and I appreciate that. So here are some of the tanks that I really liked. So good night from Indonesia, and I hope I see you in the next video. And don't forget to follow, and if you like it, let me know in the comments. I'm always happy to have a conversation with the viewers and with the followers. One of the next videos also suggested by my followers is reasons why shrimp die. There could be so many reasons. So these are just some that I picked. Some I think that are interesting. Of course, this channel is about freshwater invertebrates in general, about nature, about nano fish. You'll probably not hear me talking about Oscars in the next time, or about L catfish and stuff like that, because I don't have too much experience about these things. So I focus on the things I know.